Welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll be getting started in a minute. Let me just wait a couple extra for those last stragglers.
I don't know about you, Dave, but I've been hearing a lot of questions about e-bikes, so I'm excited.
Oh, so many questions. So many questions about e-bikes that I have by myself.
Yeah,
Fortunately, we brought in such a panel of experts today.
our super group.
Super group. All right, maybe just one more minute before we get started. If you're wondering where you are in a new culture of safety, best practices in e-bike education, sponsored by UL Standards and Engagement. If that's not what you're here for, if you're not here for e-bikes, you might be in the wrong room. Now's your chance to leave, but please don't, because I think we're going to have an amazing session here. All right, and then one more time, folks can see my slides. Presenters, until you're up, you can turn your video off and mute yourselves. And we'll get started. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here to talk about e-bikes in our session, A New Culture of Safety, Best Practices in E-Bike Education, sponsored by UL Standards and Engagement. I'm hearing that people can't see my slides.
I am not seeing any slides either.
Oh, so when I said, can you see my slides? Nobody could see my
We lied.
slides.
I'm sorry.
No, we were seeing your slides then, Dave, and then you took them off
I
or
think
they
that
disappeared.
I think that our phantasm that took over the meeting actually joined a link that bumped me from being a host. I don't know
Uh-oh.
how that
Oh,
happened, but Natasha, it might be on you.
I would love to make you a host again.
Yes, please do.
Hello, guys. Welcome to live TV.
Yes, this is how it goes.
Um, hmm. Yes, this is
Live
live
TV.
TV. You are not a host anymore. Okay, let's
Uh,
see.
This is a
There
new
we
one.
go. Yeah,
It says I can present now. I don't know what changed, but
here we are. All
here
right.
we are. All right, now people can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
All right, that's wonderful. Then I will get us started. As you all are logging in, this is a good chance for us to chat. This is an interactive session. Please share your name, your location, and what we're most interested in, which is why are you here today to hear about e-bikes? What brought you here? Hi, Aaron from Fresno, California. All right, don't forget. Oh, we got someone that's here for fun. Great, love that. Some Wyoming. So many safety questions related to e-bikes. Educating students on e-bike safety. Some of our presenters, local universities that banned e-bikes. I think we'll touch on some of this today. And spoiler alert, at the end, we will have a chance to register for a webinar that we have coming up to expand upon what you'll learn today. But as we get going, I will remind you all of some of the tips that make our sessions a success around here, and that is through active participation. I'm already seeing that in the chat, which is great. You all know where that is. Also, I will be popping up surveys or engagement Mentimeters that you have a chance to answer. You can either join those by taking a picture of the QR code with your phone, or you can join a link that Natasha will ultimately share in the chat. I do ask, because everybody on the call is available or is able to unmute themselves, that you stay on mute unless you are speaking. And if you'd like to come off mute and share something, you can raise your hand. And then the chat is wide open for asking questions, sharing resource links, etc. as the presentations go on. except for that if you have a question that you'd like one of our panelists to answer at the end of the presentations, please put that in the Q&A section, not in the chat, so that we are able to easily call those out from all of the participation that's going on. Chev, are you with us? Did you make it back?
Make it back. I'm here.
Right on. You're up.
Hello, everyone. And again, I'm Chevron Jones. I have the awesome privilege of serving as the development director here at Safe Routes. And before we move on, I just want to take the opportunity to recognize our diamond sponsor, who is sponsoring this session today, and that's UL Standards and Engagement. Their partnership and leadership have been instrumental in making this virtual summit possible, and is helping advance the work of building safer, healthier, and more equitable communities for children, families across the country. Although she's not on here right now because she's having a tad bit of technical difficulties, I do want to be able to introduce Jennifer Bradley, who is the Senior Manager of Partnerships at UL Standards and Engagement. She leads strategic collaborations with trade associations, foundations, and nonprofits to advance safety science and public engagement. Before joining UL Standards, she spent nearly a decade with the National PTA, where she helped raise millions of dollars to support public schools nationwide, demonstrating her deep commitment to education and the power of corporate nonprofit partnerships. Jennifer will be with us in a minute or so, but she's having technical difficulties at this time, David. Dave, I
Right
turn it
on.
back to you.
Thanks, Chev. And then Jennifer did send along a little bit of an infomercial about who UL Standards and Engagement
We
is.
are UL Standards and Engagement. We make millions of products safer for you, even if you don't realize it. We do this by developing safety standards. A safety standard is like an instruction manual to guide the testing of products, services, and systems, so when you use them, they're safer for you. The world is changing. So are the risks. And through our work, we're on a mission to make the world safer for you.
Great. And can I just get a thumbs up that everybody was able to watch the video and hear the sound? Oh, great.
Sound
Great. Technology is working in some ways today, so that's good for us. Jennifer was going to talk to us a little bit about some of the resources that they have available. We may swing back around to these slides when we're done, but we're going to try our first engagement session here. So right here is the QR link if you've got a phone. Natasha already dropped the link to this question in the chat, but let's see how quickly I can get us back
But here
to,
it is again in the chat.
thank you.
You can also use the QR code.
Let's see. Seeing kids and young adults riding e-bikes makes me feel
Nervous is huge. It's growing. Oh no.
it's growing like the anxiety about it. But I'm seeing some hopeful coming in from behind, happy, excited. There's a little bit of scared. Please keep it coming. Keep it
Yeah.
coming.
Dave, what would you put in there?
Geez, that's a good question. I think I'm excited. I think it can change things, and I think we're going to learn more about that today. Wonderful. If you haven't answered yet, please keep using the Menti. We'll keep coming back to it. These answers will populate, and these slides will be available after the session. So let me get us going. So we're going to hear from three folks today about their experience with e-bikes and safe routes to school. But before they did that, I thought I would talk a little bit about what we're hearing from the field in terms of challenges and opportunities with e-bikes. One of those is just caregivers are confused about classes of e-bikes, speeds, local rules, mixing up e-bikes with e-motos. They're confused about the need for specific skills related to e-bikes, whether that's managing an assist or a throttle, or braking from a higher speed, choosing a route based on the bike that you're on, or even caring for your battery. Youth just don't have that experience and training, and it's not built into ways, in many Safe Routes programs, that's not built in a way that is educational for them. There are restrictive policies that are popping up in responses to crashes and fatalities that are maybe overly paternalistic. There's a need for better data related to e-bike use and safety. And of course, just like with regular bikes, it is dependent on safe infrastructure. And I just want to, just like acoustic bikes, it's dependent on safe infrastructure for riding. And then my own challenge in the picture here that I couldn't help but include was getting my daughter's birthday party from place to place. I couldn't get more than 7 people on the bike, and it was really challenging. So, you know, that's something that you're not hearing from the field, but hearing from Dave. Some of the opportunities that we're seeing at a high level is to create and disseminate resources. And I think we're going to see some of that today, which it keeps popping up. We're seeing more and more of it. We're going to start seeing more folks developing guidance on integrating e-bikes into typical pedestrian and bicycle safety education as a part of Safe Routes to School programs. Or I should say, messaged, communicated in a way that youth and caregivers are interacting with. Sometimes I know that I'm a little stuck in the past in terms of how I communicated growing up, and then it definitely just isn't the way that my kids are doing it. And so making sure that we're modeling our communication around that, advocating for friendly policies for statewide laws, and leveraging the light but existing data that we have on e-bike safety. And then just to know, this is my high schooler who, you know, stopped riding bikes after his dad was so staunchly into riding bikes all the way up through junior high. And with an e-bike, he's back riding to school. So that's an opportunity that I wanted to share. So with that, I'm really excited about our panel because everybody on this panel knows their stuff and they've been around for a long time. And I'm going to lead here with Allison Dewey. She leads the League's Smart Cycling Program and the annual National Bike Summit. She has held multiple positions at the League since joining the organization back in 2008. She was originally hired to create and launch the Bicycle Friendly Business Program. You may know about that a little bit. She's also managed the Bicycle Friendly University Program for 2 years and helped establish the Bicycle Friendly State Program. Allison knows her stuff, and she's here to tell us all about that. Ready when you are, Allison.
All right, well, thanks. Great, it's great to be here. Thank you for joining this webinar. And Dave, if anything like, I don't know, unplugs or disconnects, let me know so I can plan accordingly. Yes, e-bikes are certainly a hot topic these days, and I'm thrilled to be talking about them and in the presence of this esteemed panel and to be with you all today. A big thank you to Dave and to Corey and Natasha and Chevron for getting us all organized, and to the entire staff of Safe Routes Partnership for putting together such a wonderful conference. I'm having a really great time and I'm learning a lot. So appreciate that. And also a shout out to UL for sponsoring the session. As Dave said, I'm Allison Dewey. I'm the Director of Education at the League of American Bicyclists. The League is a national nonprofit organization working for a bicycle-friendly America for everyone, improving lives and strengthening communities through bicycling. We believe that bicycling brings people together, and when more people ride bikes, communities are safer, stronger, and better connected. We're a really old organization, founded in 1880, the original bike advocacy organization of the country. We were originally founded as League of American Wheelmen. It's kind of like on the cusp of the Better Roads movement. We advocate for better bicycling policies and places. We set standards for what constitutes being bicycle friendly. And we set standards for bicycling education as well through things like our Bicycle Friendly America program, which is for communities businesses, universities, and states, and through our bicycling education program. We work with Congress, as you can see here, all these nice looking folks from the state of Massachusetts. We work with people throughout the country and with Congress to make good policies and laws to protect the rights of bicyclists and bring people together to lobby Congress for bicycling related measures. We also write reports to support grassroots work that's going on, statewide work that's going on, and we connect people and organizations while leading the national bike advocacy movement. Our cycling education program is called Smart Cycling, and it provides a cohesive curriculum for all types of skill levels, of age, and modes of transportation. We have a curriculum specific for youth, specific to adults and even older adults that might be in a different phase of their life where bicycling just takes on a different kind of aspect. And then we have curriculum specific to skill level, all the way from learning to balance and steering a bike, to riding in traffic, and then riding with multiple people around you, right? Doing group rides. We also have curriculum by mode. Of course, we have our bicycling curriculum, traffic skills, kind of distance riding, commuting to work. That is our longest standing curriculum, going on over 60 years with that. And we've, along the way, within those 60 years, we've developed other curriculum, specifically the e-bike curriculum, our bicycle friendly driver curriculum, and going too fast. Back up to you.
Sorry, Allison.
And for car drivers as well. Our recent addition to the curriculum is for truck drivers, on truck drivers awareness when bicyclists are on the roadways with them as well. You can access nearly all of our curriculum on our online learning center at learn.bikeleague.org. This is free, always available, and it's a great way, it's a great first step, I will say, to get started, to start building your confidence and comfort with terminology and concepts, preparing to get on a bike, and just basic knowledge of bike parts, concepts to abide by when you're riding a bike. Okay, so then we have a series of e-bike smart videos also on our learning center. You can go to the next slide. That here we provide a depth of knowledge on e-bikes specifically, and different types of e-bikes, things to consider when preparing to go by e-bike, battery safety. You can go to the next slide. Rider safety, collision awareness, trail etiquette. If you're on a e-bike, how to approach riding with others on a shared use path, on a trail. And then the training also provides a certificate of completion. So this is just, watching videos and then answering questions to engage with the material and kind of reinforce that, remembering what you just learned on the video. We also have information on e-bikes in our quick guides, which gives, it's like a handy pocket guide to act as a quick reference when you're out and on the go. A lot similar information that was on our videos, but just in a more distilled kind of way. And those are great to just for a quick reference, to learn a quick kind of shorthand. It's like the cliff notes of the videos of e-bikes. So next, you can go to the next slide, Dave. Online learning is great. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You can do it sitting on the couch, on your own time. It's a nice way to start. But to really develop a better understanding of e-bike safety and to build your confidence and awareness of safety, we always recommend that you train with an instructor. And we have a wide network of league cycling instructors in our 60 years of doing this, we've trained over 8,000 instructors. Today we maintain a network. I mean, it keeps growing and kind of like, you know, shrinking at some points, growing again. We have about 3,000 active instructors right now across the country. You can find them online on our bikeleague.org/map. And all of these instructors have gone through a 3-day rigorous seminar to understand how to teach effectively and provide a safe learning environment to all students. They're part of our national network of instructors and are covered by the league's insurance. And they're covered to teach e-bike classes and to get youth and adults riding more safely and confidently on really any type of bike, but definitely we're seeing an increase in the demand for e-bike classes with our instructors. So the first thing to understand about e-bikes, and probably the first thing that your league instructor will tell you about an e-bike, if we can go to the next slide, is that there is this 3-class system that the majority of states have adopted. Class 1 is an e-bike. E stands for the electric assist bike that has electric assist up till 20 miles per hour. And that is only activated when you're pedaling. If you're in a community with a bike share system in it, and your bike share has introduced e-bikes to your bike share system, the e-bikes that are in your bike share system are most likely class 1 e-bikes. So you're pedaling along and you're going up a hill, and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, there's a little oomph here. I have a little bit more power going up this hill. Those are class 1. Nice, comfortable bikes. You'll notice the assist, but it's not like driving you like really fast out the gate. A class 2 e-bike is also a bike with pedals, but the assistance that it gives you can be activated with a throttle, typically on your handlebar, or by pedaling. So you can kind of do either one. And the assistance that it offers stops being activated when you reach that 20 miles per hour speed. Now you can go faster than 20 miles an hour, but it's going to be because of the strength of your body or the momentum you have, not because of the assist. And then finally, class 3 is a bike similar to class 1 in that it only assists when the rider is pedaling, but it can assist up to 28 miles per hour. So you're going to have a little bit more power on a class 3. And this is the class that also you're going to see states starting to restrict, or maybe certain trails you can't have a class 3 on because of the potential assisted speed that it has. So there it is. Those are the 3 classes of e-bikes. Anything outside of this class 1, class 2, class 3 is not an e-bike if it has a motor on it. Everything outside of those classes, not an e-bike. You can call them anything else, just don't put bike in the name of it. Many people use the term e-motos to describe these other small vehicles that are going a lot faster. You can call them small class vehicles. You can call them toy motorcycles, out of class motorcycle. We just don't want the name of bike to be associated with the more powerful small vehicles that often people are getting really angry about, because they do go really fast, and they look a little bit menacing, honestly. Because anything out of class, it's going to have over 750 watts of motorized power. Again, not an e-bike. Sometimes they will have pedals, sometimes they won't have pedals. If they don't have pedals, again, not an e-bike. Let's call them e-motos. I often tell people this is really important to distinguish, because if you think of the difference between cars and semi-trucks, they're not the same. They're regulated differently. And if we were to call a semi-truck a car, it's giving the wrong impression. And it's just simply the wrong definition, because there's different capabilities for each of those vehicles. So if you leave with just one thing today, I hope that you can start understanding the difference between an e-bike and an e-moto, because there's a really big difference. And the importance of this is that we don't want e-motos lumped into any legislation that is being created to regulate e-bikes. It's just bad for the movement, and so because they're not the same thing, it's really restrictive for what really is an e-bike, and then it just is mixing two different types of vehicles. So the more we can differentiate between e-bikes and e-motos, the better. League cycling instructors, they can teach classes to people riding e-bikes. They cannot and will not teach classes to students on e-motos. So next slide, Dave. To familiarize with the e-bike classification system, your state laws, oh, those didn't come out as I thought they would. They're kind of blue on blue right now. Maybe I can add those in the chat. But I've listed some resources for you to check out. Again, I'll try and put these in the chat so you can see them better. But if you leave with anything in the session, please let it be you understand the difference between the clear distinction between e-bikes and e-motos. And that's all that I have. And thanks. I want to thank everyone for spreading the truth in your communities. And thanks for being part of the conversation. I'll turn it back to Dave.
Thank you, Allison. I love that message of, hey, if you're going to take one thing away, an e-moto is not an e-bike, and an e-bike is not an e-moto. We have a chance to jump over again to the Mentimeter, so I'm going to take you all there and see if I can move us to the next question. When it comes to e-bike safety education, I wish I knew more about, and some of this has been bubbling up in the chat, but feel free to move it over into the Menti. If you haven't accessed it yet, I'm sure Natasha's about to drop a link. Oh, look at that. And if you'd like, you can scan this real quick, but I'm gonna make it go away in a second. So if you're gonna scan it, now is the time. All right, so helmet guidance, how to educate caregivers, the injury risk related to e-bikes, what people are being educated about when they purchase an e-bike. That's a good one, point of purchase. Particularly with a lot of online direct-to-consumer sellers. Developmental appropriateness for children of varying ages. I think you're going to hear some answers around that later in the presentation. Law enforcement for when youth don't follow those rules. How you might handle the bike differently. There's a lot of things that people want to know, Gwen and Megan. So no pressure, but why don't we jump into this? And again, all of this will be available after the summit is done. But let me introduce you to Gwen Pro. Gwen and I were trying to figure out how long ago it was that we met, but it was over a decade. She has been with Marin Safe Routes to School, currently as a program director, bringing over 20 years of experience teaching and engaging hundreds of thousands of students. She's launched the program's pioneering teen initiative, one of the first of its kind in the nation, and she presented on e-bikes at the 2023 National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. In response to rising student e-bike injuries in Marin, Gwen also serves as an advisor to Marin's Special Committee on Youth E-Bike Safety. Founded in Marin County in 2000, Safe Routes to Schools has become a national model for promoting active transportation. And welcome, Gwen.
Thank you,
The
Dave.
floor is yours.
Thank you. And if you could move to the next slide, please, Dave. You know, the way we came about this was about 4 years ago. One of my lead instructors came back scratching his head and saying, when I'm teaching these kids in class, they're all raising their hands and bragging about how fast they can go. 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour on their quote unquote e-bike. So we started to do our deep dive 4 years ago. We put out requests throughout the country. Is there any information about this? We muddled through for the first couple of years before we got some more information from Allison Dewey, the League, People for Bikes, to really help guide us in our whole program. So today, again, some of this is going to repeat what Allison said, but it bears repeating. How do we encourage safe legal riding? How to distinguish the e-bikes we want from those that we don't, the e-motos we don't want? And then, of course, strategies for our outreach and education and enforcement. Next slide, please. All right, so a little bit about Marin Safe Routes to Schools. We've been at this for 25 years. So our program is well funded through the Transportation Authority of Marin locally. And we have what we call wraparound services. Includes paid crossing guards, of course, encouragement events, education, engineering to develop the infrastructure. So many services are provided, and you will see why I am mentioning those services at this point when we get into the details here. Next slide, please. Next slide, Dave. Thanks. So when we host events, this is what it looks like in our county. It's a robust program. Next slide, please.
Gwen, I promise you that I'm hitting advance when you
I'm
say
sure
next
you
slide.
are.
There appears to be some delay between when I do that and when you see it. So you can go
Okay.
ahead and hopefully that's showing up faster for others.
All right, so a picture speaks 1,000 words. These are what our bike racks look like. Next slide, please. And as far as education goes, in our small county with 60 schools, we train over 10,000 students annually, both on the road and in classroom presentations. Next slide. So why e-bike education is necessary? Well, we must address the increased speeds and maneuverability challenges of a heavier device. And as educators, we are committed to prioritizing the safety of children over the convenience of anything else. That must come first and foremost in our minds. So there are laws about e-motos. You heard from Allison just now that an electric vehicle, there's a very specific law. They must have operational pedals. The motor must be less than 750 watts, and they cannot go over their designated speed for a low speed device. For class 1, class 2, that's 20 miles an hour. For class 3, that's 28. Now, not all states have those classes, but that's what it's defined in California. Next slide, please. So where do we draw the line here? All right, so People for Bikes recently came out and said the e-bike problem is an e-moto problem. So the fact of the matter is we don't have an e-bike problem. We have a problem with manufacturers and retailers targeting kids and selling them an e-moto under the pretense that they are an e-bike. Let me explain. Next slide, please. So, and why is this important? Why is this dangerous for all of us? Well, I go to council meetings and I'm hearing people up in arms over e-bikes, but then saying all cyclists need to be regulated. We all need driver's license and registration. Right, so somebody put in the chat here that on one college campus, all the e-bikes were eliminated. Okay, so this is what's happening in the industry. In our neck of the woods, we have a vibrant mountain biking community, and we were told that class 1 e-bike initially was not allowed on our mountains, okay, because there was fear that kids would be speeding on their e-motos on our mountains. So this is why we need to really get this right, why you all, if you don't take anything else away today, really be clear about what the distinction is between an e-bike and an e-moto. Next slide, please. So what did we see in Marin? We saw ER doctors reporting out that there were severe head trauma and pelvic injuries similar to motorcycle crashes. Now, this should not be a surprise. We all know that the greater the speed, regardless if you're in a car, on a motorcycle, on an e-moto, e-bike, the greater the speed, the greater the risk of injury. Next slide, please. And in fact, our public health department 2 years ago started tracking this. They broke out bicycle injuries from e-bike injuries. Now, at the time, they did not break out e-motos, what kind of bike, because as you can imagine, when an EMT is on the scene, they're dealing with trauma. They're not having the opportunity to really take a look at what kind of brand that student is riding. But what they discovered, but now they are taking photos of these devices, actually. But what they discovered in this 2-year period is that 10 to 15-year-olds are 5 times more likely to have serious injuries requiring ambulances than any other age group. Next slide, please. So we were trying to figure out, well, what kind of device were these kids riding? Were they riding class 1? Were they riding class 2? What were they riding? So we started doing counts at schools. We had someone who was very knowledgeable. He went out and he took a look at every single brand, went back, researched it with the manufacturer's website. And what we realized was that 95% of all e-devices being ridden to school were these e-motos. Next slide, please. And, you know, some of the kids were being pretty tricky to fool, in our case, our local police that said, well, can't you just look at the label? Well, here's an example of a student that went out on Amazon, bought the class 2 label, stuck it on this bike 4 times. So you can't just look at the label and decide that that is a class 2. If you look at the manufacturer's web page, it shows that this brand right here has a 2,000 watt motor. It can go 37 miles per hour. So you can't just look at pedals. You can't just look at the label. You actually have to go to the website. Here's another example. Now, when we teach the history of marketing, I would include this slide. So we teach kids how marketing is used initially to promote more cigarette smoking. Now it's being used to promote more vehicles. And now it's being used to promote e-motos. So if you take a look at this, you can see how this marketing strategy works. We know that animals sell. We know that it's targeting young kids because that's what's pictured here. We know that it's showing that you can have fun on one of these things. And girls who don't like to wear helmets, well, you can strap them to your handlebar. But if you look at what this brand puts out, and this isn't the only one, this is a 1,000 watt motor. It goes 28 miles per hour. So the parents are getting hoodwinked. They're complaining that they're nothing but mini motorcycles. And then on top of that, we have what are called online influencers. There's one, if you Google search him, it's called the Surronster. He has 3 million followers. And he's promoting what is, in a sense, street takeovers. Let's all get on our bikes. Let's go do wheelies down the road, reckless riding. Let's evade our law enforcement. So there's one video where Law enforcement pulls him over. He's smiling, and then he turns the corner and takes off very fast on his e-moto. And of course, students are being trained with these online tutorials on how to change the speed on their devices. Next slide, please. Please, thanks. So here are some solutions that you can consider. Next slide, please. All right, so when we talk about education, it's important to distinguish there are many different kinds of education. So I'm going to break it down into 4 categories and talk about the benefits of each one. Next slide. First, we have awareness campaigns. This is what we started very early on. We created a buyer's guide. We created many materials that talked about both the pros of e-bikes, but also the cons, so that parents could make informed decisions. So we need to identify, is your child able to handle the increased speed? Are they responsible enough? These things are harder to control and to stop. Do they have that experience before you put them on an e-bike? But now, of course, we also have these illegal e-motos that we need to bring awareness about. Next slide, please. So we have a lot of resources on our webpage about this, one of which is the e-bikes are electrifying the future, what parents should know. We've sent out back to school notices on this through our administrators. And our website has information for school administrators, parents, and law enforcement. Next slide, please. Now, as a result of what Marin was going through with this significant increase, which the health department called a public health crisis, Damon Connolly, he's assembly member. He went to Sacramento and advocated for a policy change. Since just recently, this law has been enacted in Marin County, AB 1778, and it prevents students under the age of 16 from riding these legal class 2. Now, of course, this is a stopgap measure. But I also want to clarify one thing here. The age 16, by the way, is what most manufacturers are recommending that students be to ride one of their devices. So we're following exactly what the manufacturers themselves have put out, that a student needs to be this age to ride them. So in order to create a very edgy kind of campaign that students would pay attention to and their parents, we called it E-Bikers Club. We put up posters throughout the schools. The primary intent was to notify families and students of this new law that came about. And there's a video, if we have time at the end, that I'd love to share with you about that. Oops.
We're going to give it a shot. What do you think?
Sure.
Is this
Hey Marin County, let's talk about e-bikes. E-bikes are a fun and convenient way to get around Marin. They're also great for the environment and getting cars off the road. If you're just getting into e-bikes, there's a few things you gotta know. First, which class of e-bike is best for you? For riders under 16, Class 1 bikes are the option. Avoid bikes with throttles and stick to pedal assist only. When buying an e-bike, shop at a trusted local bike shop and make sure your bike is street legal. Most bike shops won't service a bike you bought online, as the parts are often too low quality or poorly designed. And remember, only ride one person at a time. Check your speed. Going too fast means others may not see you. Use hand signals and look out for bumps in the road that could send you flying. Before every ride, check your tire pressure, brakes, battery, and chain. Ride in the bike lane. When riding on a bike path, give walkers and joggers plenty of space. Always protect your head. Wear a proper bike helmet and make sure it fits just right. Now you're all set. Get out there and join the e-Bikers Club. Learn more at e-bikersclub.com.
Oh my gosh, Gwen, the person with a trench coat selling an illegal e-bike is my new favorite thing.
Yeah, and again, once again, the intention was to create awareness, to bring users to really be paying attention to this important conversation. But it's not the only way that we educate, obviously. We do a lot of our classroom education. In all of our classes, we're now teaching the laws around e-bikes. Next slide, please. And then we teach these 4 principles, not just wear any helmet, but one that can sustain a heavy impact. One, you can carry a passenger on some e-bikes, but banana seats are not legal for carrying passengers. Riding responsibly, predictably, and of course, slowing your speed. Riding fast in a bike lane. Motorists are not expecting you to be flying past them in a bike lane. So these are some of the topics that we cover in our classroom. Next slide, please. All right, and of course, we teach in all of our schools the drills. But as Allison mentioned, we are not insured to teach anyone on e-motos. So in fact, at this time, we only teach Class 1 e-bike education. Next slide, please. And we will take students out on the road on a Class 1. And here's the information that we cover. So these are more advanced topics taken from the League of American Bicycling, their curriculum. So you can see it's a lot more advanced education that we give them. Next slide, please. All right, and then the next kind of education that I'm recommending that we're exploring is behavior modification. This is similar to the Every 15 Minutes campaign, Impact Teen Drivers. It's not just when a student misbehaves or there's repeat offenders, we don't just throw more laws at them. It's like what the chief of police is saying, the students know the laws, but they're either forgetting to follow them or they are deliberately breaking them. All right, so the only way to really impact their behavior is to talk about the impact on others. You know, what's the impact to their family, their society, their community if they break laws? You see, we teach kids that most crashes can be avoided if they follow laws, right? So that is what we are trying to do next. What I call, our diversion program. Next slide, please. Our diversion program with our law enforcement. Actually, currently we used to bring the students in with their bikes, but I call it a detention with the bikes because they already know the laws. So now we're moving into this other behavior modification. So I've talked about education, parents' awareness. Next slide, please. All right, most of our schools, our middle and high schools, actually did an e-bike registration to weed out the e-motos, and they actually banned them from schools. Next slide, please. Meanwhile, that kept the integrity of the Class 1 being allowed to be ridden by our students. You see, I was also afraid that our schools would say no more e-bikes in general on our campuses. So they were really true partners in eliminating, focusing on just the illegal ones. And law enforcement really should be the last resort, but we do have a really great partnership with them. What we're encouraging our law enforcement to do is to target and impound the e-motos as opposed to chasing the kids down on the street. So that is something that you really need to work with your law enforcement about. Next slide, please. Okay, and then just some more resources. This woman, again, Beth Black, she started the Belmont Project. She has this wonderful book that I've used as a source and given out to parents called the Caring Parents E-Bike Survival Guide. And she has a 6-point plan. Now, Marin's already doing much of this, but if you're just getting started on this, she can guide you on this. She has a white paper. This is what she's talking about in terms of having a comprehensive program to address that. And of course, it includes infrastructure. And it, of course, includes policies and awareness. So she would be a valuable resource for all of you. Next slide, please. And my goal, our next steps, is to help other cycling advocates to promote the legal e-bikes by removing the ones that are giving us all a bad reputation. Thanks so much. I have a list of resources at the end, and I'll turn it back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Gwen. So much going on there. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. And a reminder to folks in the chat, that the slides will be available after the fact. So any of our presenters that have included links to videos, or in the case of this page, resources, you can grab those as we publish them after the summit wraps up. So before we introduce Megan, we're going to come back to our mentee. We have another question for you. Let's see if I can find my way there after all the bouncing around we've done. All right, here we are. The next question here is, looks like people have gotten ahead of it a little bit. Oh, no, they haven't. Respond to the following statements about e-bikes based on what is happening in your community. Can you all see this slide yet? Good. You can see the slide and you can hopefully respond on Menti. Thanks, Tim. I'll give you all a moment to read and understand. All right, so there are communities that are seeing that e-bikes foster a sense of independence among older youth. I led with that. My high schooler is far more independent as a result of an e-bike. And yet, more e-bike education is needed for everybody. And it feels like the general consensus here is that caregivers are not aware of e-bike laws and regulations, or have the knowledge to make informed decisions about purchasing e-bikes. So on the bottom half, we're seeing a lot of support for what e-bikes can mean for communities. And on the top half, we're, I think, admitting that we have a long way to go in terms of educating caregivers and students and the community about e-bikes. Fortunately for us, we have people like those on our panel today that are out there doing the work, getting the education done. And so I'm really excited to introduce to you Megan Ramey, who finds herself as a Safe Routes to School manager of Hood River County. After 10 years of kid-centric transportation advocacy, someone gave her a job. Megan is passionate about Safe Routes to School demonstration projects, engaging youth and families in planning processes, and using school bike buses, after-school clubs, and PE field trips to bring the joy and community back into biking education. I personally enjoy Megan's social media feed where you can see all of these rides happening live. Please welcome Megan to our panel.
Hi, can you see me?
We can see you and hear you.
Okay, perfect. I will cue you on the slideshow. Well, first of all, I have to say to Gwen that her presentation was truly therapy. So everything I envisioned it would be as a fellow Safe Routes to School. And I just want to thank her personally before I begin. Before I begin, I was talking about youth and e-bikes in 2022 with Chris Bruntlett, who came to Eugene, Oregon for their Think Bike. And I was explaining the issue, and he's the one I should credit with this teach them to fly, because he's like, you don't want to cut their wings, you want to teach them to fly. So that sets my tone for this presentation. Next slide. So I like to start off with my e-bike origin story. In 2016, we biked the Great Allegheny Passage Trail, 340 miles from Pittsburgh to DC. And the only way we did that was by borrowing a Pedigo e-bike. My first time riding an e-bike, and biked 60 miles a day, towing our 6-year-old daughter. Next slide. So it was like 2 months later that we moved from Boston to Hood River. And I don't know if you want to click again, Dave, for that. I don't know why that's not showing, but
Boston Boston to
Never
Hood River
mind.
should be showing.
Yeah, sorry, there's an image in the bottom left that's not showing, but that's okay.
Oh.
We moved from Boston to Hood River, and I came home crying after 2 weeks of living there because I had ridden work cycles, Bach feets up a hill, and was like, my biking lifestyle is over. And then I was like, shut up, stop being a purist. And so we traded in those bikes for the Pedigo and the Urban Arrow, and life has never been so magnificent. Next slide. So why me to present on this topic? So I founded Bike About. Our family has ridden in over 30 cities around the world and chronicled our family experiences in these local biking cultures. Next slide. In 2022, Hood River was an indicator community for e-bikes, and I wrote these articles. And sadly, the dawn of the throttle kids was a little bit too predictive and on the nose for public backlash. Next slide. I was named the Safe Routes to School manager. Our program is only 3 years old, and I have a dream job every day. Next slide. I am a league certified instructor. Next slide. And I take part in two groups. If you missed this email, I linked my presentation in the chat. Guy is he organizes our Safe Routes to School e-bike group, and yeah, it's a great form of therapy for anybody who wants to trade best practices. And then I'm also a part of an Oregon micromobility network to help shape policy statewide on this issue. Next slide. So again, why me? So in just 3 years, our program is only 3 years old. So we're completely like Marin has been like the longest standing one in the US, and we might be the youngest, but in 3 years, we've raised $10 million for Safe Routes to School programming and infrastructure. 3 of our demonstrations have now been installed permanently, include our most recent School Street, which is I'm so proud of. 200 bike and walk buses have been hosted, 300 bikes donated to kids in need, 200 kids have learned how to ride a bike from scratch, and 3,400 kids have biked in their PE classes. Next slide. I was named Educator of the Year by the Bike League this past year, and it blew me away. Next slide. And then I think most importantly, and this is something besides the e-moto versus e-bike issue, I want to hammer home is that I get a lot of questions of like, how can we fix this issue? How can we educate up our kids really fast? My daughter has ridden over 26 bikes, and she just turned 16, and she has no interest in getting a driver's license, and her education has happened so gradually and iteratively over time, and I think it's so important to incorporate bike education in PE, which we'll get to later. Next slide.
Oh, we've got the video here, Megan. I feel like we have to watch this, don't we?
Yeah, it's not, I don't know, it's very long, so you can count the number of bikes she's ridden.
Oh. Maybe just the early years, just because they're so darn cute.
Yeah, that was the Netherlands.
Oh my gosh. Does this make you feel nostalgic every time you watch this?
Oh, just putting this together, I was like, I don't know, it kind of blows me away in the fact like how many bikes she's actually ridden. Hey, XP, I see that, Natasha. Yay. Sorry, KXP is my favorite radio station in the world. She recognized the banner. This is her riding the Brompton for the first time, and now she's riding it all the time on trips. That's her first e-bike ride. So she's towing a Burley trailer to camp.
What?
This is her climbing a monster mountain bike trail that I can't do. towing a friend on a skateboard.
Oh my gosh.
I knew I
Yeah.
raised by parents who ran.
Yeah, we've done every type of biking.
All
All right,
right.
you can go to the next slide. But y'all can like see that later. So I asked the question a couple weeks ago, why do kids like riding e-bikes? And I think the biggest answers were the same as if you were an adult. They're fun, they get you up hills, they go fast. They're essentially like a car replacement because all of the safety and function features are designed in an e-bike. So you don't have to buy a bunch of extra accessories or remember to bring things with you. And then most importantly, next slide is freedom. I put this in my slideshow that I linked, but Jonathan Haidt and who's the author of The Anxious Generation, as well as Lenore Scorsese, the godmother of free range kids, did a study recently asking teenagers, what would it take you to get you off your device? And they said freedom to play in our neighborhood. And so I think e-bikes are one of those mechanisms to not only get them off their device, but give them freedom to play in their neighborhood. So I am talking about specifically 10 to 15-year-olds. This age group, I think, is top two, depending on which market research you look at, of either baby boomers or 10 to 15-year-olds as the most popular e-bike group. So it gives them freedom, autonomy, community, mental health, physical health. And then for me, selfishly, parents get their time back. And I think it's an amazing opportunity to change lifestyles, breed better drivers and safer streets, more empathetic adults, and reduce the pollution, noise pollution, emissions on our streets. Next slide. Just specifically to Oregon, maybe other states, it's technically illegal for kids to ride e-bikes. So my daughter has been illegally riding an e-bike for 4 years. And I'm very honest with that, I wear my Safe Routes to School manager hat, and my daughter is illegally riding an e-bike. And so I think there's a big issue with our policy. So I technically can't educate kids on riding e-bikes, but what I can offer a perspective on is what's not working given the reality. And then modeling policies from other cities like Marin and e-bike education strategies that work regardless of the law. Next slide. So I'll talk about a little bit what's not working and then where we should go. Next slide. So here's the what's not working. There's so many different policies for different states, and I think it really doesn't help a public perception issue. So you see Oregon there in the brown, like kids under 16 can't ride e-bikes, but they are like, I'll get to this in a second, but it's the Wild West. Next slide. So twice now we have attempted to amend our e-bike law, which was passed in 1997 before e-bikes were even a thing. I think it applies to like electric grocery shopping carts or something. And there is actually no penal code assigned to it. So police can't even write a ticket. So it is the Wild West. And I've testified twice now. It's very frustrating. I feel like we're crossing the chasm of no return, but I'm still optimistic for 2026. Next slide. All right, so here's the big takeaway slide is yes, e-motos, e-bikes. It's become just too much of a public backlash, and my daughter has been riding a class 1 e-bike and has never had any issues being targeted by law enforcement, or she's never been talked to by the police. Next slide. So the public heartburn, I wanted to itemize these just why the public is feeling this friction. One is motor normativity, which is a fantastic term. Essentially is like goes hand in hand with windshield bias. Number 2, it's like when you are driving, things feel a lot more unsafe than or crazy than they are. Number three is there's definitely more riders on the streets. There's in Hood River, there's no bikeway, so there's a lack of predictability on the part of the youth. They're riding on the sidewalk because their parents told them to. The mountain biking culture, just like Marin, is mountain biking is you're told to take risks to send it, and that's opposite of transportation biking. Throttling, not pedaling, toy motorcycles, which we've talked about a ton, and then lack of education, double riding and no helmets, which is like total normal town for the Netherlands. Next slide. But the Netherlands is even wrestling with this issue. So they call them fat bikes, which because most of the teens like here, they prefer throttle and fatter tires. So it's unprecedented that the Netherlands is thinking of a helmet law, but they are, and it's hopefully, not hopefully, it's probably going to take effect in 2027. And they're also considering banning them from the bikeways. So it's not just America, it's also like the most, I guess, progressive biking culture in the world. So this is a picture of the Hood River Police. They, because of our broken statewide policy that restricts under 16 but does not have a penal code, they said, we are going to start cracking down on e-bikes. So last month they were stationed at the middle school bike racks and telling the kids, we have a new penal code. It does not exist. And so they're using an e-scooter penal code, which is not going to stand up in court. And so we've put our police in this uncomfortable situation because they are having so much public pressure to respond to these kids. Next slide. So what's the way forward? You can skip this, Dave. I think we're all in the Teach Them to Fly camp. Yes, teach them to fly. So part two, where should we go? This is a photo of our daughter about 2 years ago, riding my husband, her dad, in the cargo bike on Father's Day. Next slide. I'm sorry, that's my cat feeder going off in the background. It's like the worst timing. So this is a great study that I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to. The Minnesota also has a 16 plus age, but I think they've understood that they might have been a little bit harsh. So they're doing a study on youth e-bike habits, and I predict they're going to legalize class 1 for middle schoolers, but we'll see. I'll be paying attention to this. Next slide. Thanks to Dave for sharing this with all of us on LinkedIn. I think this is where counties should be stealing from. It's an e-bike safety action plan, and it's so progressive and comprehensive. Next slide. I have to highlight Gwen and Marin. I think this is one of the best. It's almost like if I had written this myself with the help of a marketing genius. This is a great resource. Can't recommend it enough. And then I am very much an advocate for legalizing class 1 pedal assist for middle school, which is 11 to 15-year-olds, because it's what's already happening. But we want to make sure that parents know that class 1 is an appropriate e-bike for these kids. Next slide. Today is all things e-bike for me, and it just so happens that I will be hosting a policymakers e-bike ride with one of our state reps and some electeds. It's a beautiful afternoon in Hood River, so I will hopefully be able to report back that like the last time I did this, the mayor bought an e-bike the very next day. So that's a stretch goal I wouldn't even thought to put on myself. All caps infrastructure. A lot of the friction we see is because there is no infrastructure, so they're biking on the sidewalk or they're using shared use paths, which I think might be an archaic design now. Next slide. And then education, which is like what I would consider as our best long-term solution, not only for e-bikes, but biking and transportation in general. Transportation is a core life skill. We should be teaching it from kindergarten through 12th. And so I get a lot of pressure from enforcement to teach abstinence with e-bikes, but I refuse to do that. And in fact, I have very open and honest conversations. So I almost feel like a sex educator sometimes. Next slide. So education, all grades, K through 12 in the PE class it's not going to be the short term like boot camp quick fix that to help the kids who are riding now, but we need to think long term. And so I start teaching at kindergarten, 5th through just did 9th grade. So if you click, Dave, middle school, so teaching them in class, after school clubs, but bike field trips, which I'll touch on. And then high school is either bike or e-bike ed. And then I am working on, I'll hopefully find out this month if I got an e-bike library grant and rebate to offer families in our community. Next slide. So bike buses and walking buses are education, and it's probably one of the most effective education campaigns I can imagine for Safe Routes to School. The kids so want to join their local bike bus. They're learning subversively in the street with their peers. It is perfect education. Next slide. After school bike clubs are another form of subversive education. So I operate one every Monday for 5th to 8th graders. I ask them what they're hungry for. We bike to the local ice cream shop, and then along the way we stop at an intersection if it's scary and talk about it. So it's like in real time they're learning education when it's right in front of them. Next slide. And then biking field trips. I can't emphasize this enough. Like, yes, we're learning how to ride bikes in their gyms, on their playgrounds, but they need to actually like ride in the street, and riding around their neighborhood, around the school is so empowering for them. They feel like I've heard this so many times, like I've broken them out of jail, or they're free, and they a lot of the kids don't even know what the neighborhood around their school looks like because they're shuttled from their house to the school. And it's so eye-opening to take them on these field trips. Last week I have some photos in my slideshow linked, but I was able to take some 9th graders, first ever for the high school, on a biking field trip. And I want to thank Cycle Oregon personally for letting me borrow those bikes. And it was just like the first taste of what I get to do with the high school. So I've produced a buyer's guide through my website, Bike About, because I've gotten so many what kind of bike do I buy my kids from local parents, from national. So I'm going to link this buyer's guide because I never got a chance to share it in this presentation. So there it is. I also have a blog on that topic. Here are my socials, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. This is my 3rd year row presenting on this topic, and it's ever changing, and I love the opportunity that we are presented with.
Thank you, Megan. So much wisdom from programs that have been doing this. We're gonna all come on video here in a second and try and answer some of the so many questions that came up in the chat. Before we do that, I want to take us back to the Menti, and then I want to welcome Jennifer Bradley of UL Standards and Engagement. So let's do the Menti first. Let me see if I can get us there. Who should be involved in conversations about e-bike safety? Whoops. Everyone. All right, we're good. Parents, students, most definitely, ultimately lawmakers, Black and brown folks, bike shop owners, schools, public health. I think we're getting to everyone. And as those all roll in, Jennifer, I would love it if you would come off mute. I know that we had some trouble getting you on, but welcome. Thank you for sponsoring our session today. I hope you could share a little bit about UL standards and engagement.
Thanks, Dave. I'm happy to. I haven't yet seen standards developers pop up here on the Mentee board, but we're here. We're here to encourage the conversation around e-bike safety. As Dave mentioned, I'm Jennifer Bradley with UL Standards and Engagement, and you've probably seen the UL logo throughout your home over the years, and your fire hydrants and various places in your community. But we are here at the Safe Routes to School virtual conference because of our e-bike standards, both for the battery and for the e-bike system. And was really excited to see some chat about, there are these fires occurring. We see it in the news. What is our sort of safety messaging back to folks that have these sort of apprehensive feelings? So I'm happy to share in the chat UL's sort of solution or resource collection that I encourage you to take a look at after you've gotten through this wonderful conference. And I'm happy to make myself a resource as well. But essentially, we advocate for standards as a solution. We are not pro-ban. We want to educate anyone who will listen that having a certified bike and battery can really be the best way forward to keep people rolling. And if you haven't had enough battery talk after today, we are again partnering with Safe Routes on Wednesday of next week to talk about a really exciting partnership that I've been doing with Allison's colleagues at the League of American Bicyclists. We have been working with a cohort of universities to really pull together what we think is an amazing model policy that is going to be shared with anyone and everyone who is looking to create such a policy for their school. It doesn't have to be a university. Certainly, any school will have access to what we are proposing and make it work to be their own. So please join us. And it looks like, wow, look at this. Looks like the registration link is also on the slide, but I put it in the chat.
That's
And
wonderful.
hopefully, thanks, Dave, we'll see many of you again after the holiday.
The holiday, Hallows Eve. Yes, we look forward to seeing you all. Please register for the webinar if you can. Thank you again to our speakers, and thank you to Jennifer. There were so many questions in the chat. I'm trying to grab a couple that I feel like kind of summarize some of the thoughts that were coming forward. But one that I think comes up every single time we talk about e-bikes is around equity. And the question I have for any one of you that's interested in answering is, how are you reaching all families, including multilingual households, low-income families, families of students with disabilities, and which outreach methods have actually worked?
So I can start. Just like I said in my presentation, incorporating biking into PE is the most equitable way to educate the kids. And we do have children with disabilities or individual learning plans, and they also learn alongside their peers. Even for the biking field trips I take, I bring my Turn Midtail or one of my cargo bikes. And even if they physically can't ride a bike, I put them on the back of my bike so they can ride in the group. And that way everybody gets the same joy and confidence building and treatment. The one weird thing about e-bikes and culture in our community is many members of the Latino community I've talked to, they very much consider e-bikes cheating and will not buy their children those e-bikes. So it's a weird position to be in where I'm trying to tell them, no, it's not cheating. But also like understanding their cultural sensitivities.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of what Megan said about getting bike education in schools. The league is working on developing a curriculum. It's basically taking our different parts of our curriculum and putting it in a format for teachers who might not have ever taught cycling education before. And that is, as Megan was saying, probably the most equitable approach, just because getting into schools mean that all kids have access to it, and then information is going home to parents, to caregivers, and you know, reaching as many people as possible. Also, our learning center, I know it is online. It's not actually being on a bike, which is the best form of education, as I'm sure everyone is aware, but that is free. It's open to anyone to just hop on, watch some videos, answer some questions, and feel a little more empowered and aware of bike safety information through an online learning platform.
And I'll jump in here too as well. No surprise, Marin is teaching within the PE classes at every elementary and middle school, several high schools. It is embedded into their curriculum. And we have 2 dedicated Spanish-speaking professionals. One is our lead instructor, as well as a bilingual coordinator. So everything we do about equity is embedded. Additionally, Marin County Bicycle Coalition has an Earn a Bike program. So those who would not otherwise be able to afford a bike has the opportunity to earn a bike through a series of classes that the students must take. And those classes are geared towards safety and bike maintenance and more, but mostly about having fun. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, all 3 of you. I'm going to try and put out one more question, and then we have a little bit of wrap up. The chat has been going off the chain the entire time you all have been talking. I haven't been able to track it. There's too many things going on. But if you have a chance to jump in there and answer questions as well, please do that. Megan, I think I saw you in there already chatting away. But the last question is around, I just think so many bike educators are hesitant about bringing this into their curriculum, bringing this into what they do, and at the same time see all of the benefits that we've talked about and are looking for the reason to make the leap. Is there a tip, a pitfall that you might tell them about that they could avoid, that you might have hit as you were first rolling this out in your own programs?
So I'll take a stab from hearing. I mean, I hear from a lot across the country on what people are doing in bike education. I'm a bike educator myself. I run classes, but typically, I think if you can get people in the class, like more than 1 or 2, like 4 or 5 kids or 4 or 5 adults, it makes the class a more powerful and event, I think, because there's that peer-to-peer learning, the kind of community that's built around it. I know a lot of league cycling instructors teach one-on-one, which some people prefer that form, or they think they prefer that form of learning. But oftentimes when you have multiple people in a class, there's maybe a little more joy, a little friendships form, and it kind of I don't know, gives birth to a bigger community for people to learn from and to just enjoy the form of cycling with.
We'll call it the bike bus effect.
Sure, yeah, bike bus
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
That's
great, yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say. It took me a little time to process the question, but I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make is like one curriculum size or fits all approach, especially because some school cultures and they're so different, but also like forgetting the joy in your curriculum. That to me is like the most impactful way for kids to learn is when they're happy and having fun. And that's why the biking field trips and the bike buses are so profound in their ability to educate without you even trying to. Like, yes, they need to learn hand signals, they need to learn the stopping law, but the minute you sit down and say, we're going to focus on hand signals, it's like it gets so bored and start tuning you out. So
Thanks,
And I'll
Megan.
just add shortly to that. I concur with everything they just said. Having fun has to be a priority in the classes because the kids will tune you out if they're not having fun. So creating a sense of safety for them in the classes, making sure that you're focused on balance because that is one of the leading causes of crashes. So we make swiggly courses and keep the kids riding. All right, so keeping them engaged, they want to practice. So although we are obviously teaching all the laws around this, fun has to be a key factor.
Great. Well, thank you again, all of you, for joining us today. I feel like, as Megan said, this is an ongoing conversation as the field grows and there's more understanding around how to make this work with youth. I brought us back to the Menti because, well, there have been lots of questions answered today. There have also been lots of questions left unanswered in the chat. And we're curious, what questions do you still have about e-bike safety education and what additional resources would be helpful, perhaps beyond what you saw today? And spoiler, we can use this for future content in our webinars, hopefully bring more of what you're looking for to you. So I'll just pause for a second and let folks think about that. Sample policies, policy language, resources on how to fund them. Let's see if I can get rid of this so y'all can read. Competing with influencers. I don't know about you all, but there's no competition with what I do in influencers. Human capacity, examples of people that are doing communications differently. E-bike safety advertising campaigns that can be reused. I hear that. TikTok videos. I think we have a couple of good TikTok video makers on this call today. Could ask them how to actually teach a class to kids handling e-bikes. Tips on collaborating with law enforcement so you don't end up in a situation where they're making up laws, like Megan talked about. Keep these coming, keep these coming. We got about 1 minute until we're going to part ways. And so that Menti will remain open. I just want to remind you all that we're not done yet today. At the beginning of the day, we talked about perhaps a pet or a hobby and a current Safe Routes to School project. In a moment, we're going to be going back. Actually, in a moment means, I think it's 15 minutes, and Natasha can verify for me. In 15 minutes, we're going back to the closing session, and we're going to have a Safe Routes show and tell with each other. I really look forward to seeing you all there. And just one last time, thank you to all of you for kind of being at the cutting edge of Safe Routes to School and e-bike education, and bringing what you've learned back to the folks here that are eager learners. Thanks a bunch, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.